Whether you're into shooters, fighting games, or immersive RPGs, there's something for every Xbox owner out there. While Microsoft's first-party outfit has been a bit slim lately, the company has been on a tear, acquiring the likes of Bethesda and Activision Blizzard, as well as pumping up the amount of worthwhile titles in its Game Pass subscription service. The result is a plethora of games to choose from, which can either be a blessing or a curse for the indecisive gamer. To make life a bit easier, we've highlighted some of the best titles available on the Xbox Series X and S. We've chosen a mix of old and new titles, but given the hundreds of hours we've put into these games, we can guarantee they're well worth your time. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Despite some recent price hikes, it's still easy to call Game Pass a good deal for avid Xbox players. For $20 a month, you get access to a shifting and growing library of games. The company does a good job explaining what new games are coming and going in advance, so you won't get caught out by a game disappearing from the subscription service just as you're reaching a final boss. Nava. Nava is a perfect platformer. It stars Alba, a seasoned warrior with a cloud of silver hair, and her wolf companion, Nava, who grows up from a cub into a fierce fighter as the seasons progress. Alba and Nava are deeply connected. There's a button that makes Alba call out to Nava in varying degrees of distress, and together they're on a mission to rid the world of an evil black decay. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Despite a few bugs and silly animations, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is endlessly endearing. The game's tone is pitch perfect. It offers moments of earnest beauty, and Troy Baker's Harrison Ford impersonation is a treat to witness, let alone embody. In fact, every actor in the game is fabulous, and its writing, audio, and direction feel like classic Spielberg and Lucasfilm. Only this time it's all in first person, courtesy of Wolfenstein Studio Machine Game. This game is an exciting blend of puzzle solving, exploration, stealth, and combat, but the best parts of this game are its cinematic elements. Elden Ring. Why wouldn't we include Elden Ring? The strengths of From Software's latest action RPG are many, but what's most impressive about the game is how handcrafted it feels despite its scale. Elden Ring is big, but it never feels like it's wasting your time. Far from it, From Software has created a rich open world with something surprising, delightful, or utterly terrifying around every corner. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Dragon Age: The Veilguard wastes no time showing off the full glory of its graphical prowess and epic storytelling. Once you've spent some time in its excellent character creator, it's only a few minutes until you're fighting to stop the end of the world. Solas, the previous game's surprise villain, is trying to tear apart the boundary between the spirit and human world, and in the process, his magical ceremony fills the screen with a glorious array of neon lights, color, and shadows. If you've got a modern GPU, you're in for a ray tracing workout. What's truly surprising though is that Dragon Age: The Veilguard is also a decent action RPG with fast-paced and challenging combat that feels more reminiscent of the recent God of War games than anything from Dragon Age proper. For a game that could take 100 hours to truly finish, Veilguard still manages to feel fresh and exciting every time we sit down to play. Dead Space. The Dead Space remake feels like a warm, juicy hug from a murderous necromorph, and we mean that in the best way possible. The 2023 version of Dead Space spit shines the mechanics that made the original game so magically horrific back in 2008, and it doesn't add any unnecessary modern bloat. The remake features full voice acting, new puzzles, and expanded storylines, and it introduces a zero-gravity ability that allows the protagonist, Isaac Clarke, to fly through sections of the game in an ultra-satisfying way. 2023 version of Dead Space proves that innovative game design is timeless. Halo: The Master Chief Collection plus Halo Infinite. Halo has long been the heart of the Xbox canon, and Halo: The Master Chief Collection brings together 5 of the series' most evocative games in one package. It also has Halo 4. It's commendable simply as a historical document, but the game themselves more than hold up all these years later. The original's campaign remains essential. Halo 2 is surprisingly daring for a blockbuster sequel, while riding around in Warthogs and blasting fools in Halo 3's or Halo Reach's multiplayer never gets old. The most recent game in the series, Halo Infinite, is worth checking out as well. It's mostly a nostalgia project, and yes, it's semi-open world as half-baked, But zooming around with a grappling hook is a kinetic thrill, and the free-to-play multiplayer hits most of the highs from yesteryear without totally needing you for microtransactions. Kitsugami, Path of the Goddess. Kitsugami feels like a throwback to when major developers could just release focused and somewhat weird games without worrying about supporting seasons of content or constant updates. It combines action, real-time strategy, and tower defense elements with a package that's reminiscent of Capcom classics like Okami and Onimusha. You play as a spirit warrior whose goal is to protect Yoshiro, a divine maiden, as she progresses through stages to cleanse evil forces from a Japanese mountainside. Alan Wake 2. Leave it up to Remedy Entertainment to transform a campy series about a Stephen King-esque author fighting the forces of evil into one of the best survival horror games ever made. Alan Wake 2 splits the narrative between the writer himself and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent who stumbles into Wake's interdimensional mystery and has to race to save her daughter's life from being written out of existence. Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon 5 definitely walks a fine line by being an extremely deep and complex racing game that almost anyone can just pick up and play. The game has hundreds of cars that you can tweak endlessly to fit your driving style, and dozens of courses spread all over a gorgeous fictional corner of Mexico. If you crank up the difficulty, one mistake will sink your entire race, and the competition online can be just as fierce. Gears of War 5. Gears 5 tries to be a lot of things and doesn't succeed at them all. If you're a Gears of War fan, though, there's a lot to love here. The cover shooter gameplay the series helped pioneer feels great, and the campaign, while not narratively ambitious, is well-paced and full of bombastic set pieces to keep you interested. It's also a true graphical showcase, among the best-looking console games around. Nier Automata Become as Gods Edition. It took more than a while to get here, but Nier Automata finally arrived on Xbox One in the summer of 2018, and boy was it worth the almost 18-month wait. It takes the razor-sharp combat of a Platinum Games title and puts it in a world crafted by everyone's favorite weirdo, Yoko Taro. Don't worry, you can mostly just run, gun, and slash your way through the game, but as you finish this one, you'll find yourself pulled into a truly special narrative, one that's never been done before and will probably never be done again. It's an unmissable experience and one that feels all the more unique on Xbox, which has never had the best levels of support from Japanese developers. Pendent. Pendent is a 2D adventure meets visual novel set in 16th century Bavaria. You play as Andreas Mahler, a young artist from a well-to-do family who gets caught up in a murder mystery while trying to complete his masterpiece. The game itself hinges on its artwork and writing. Both are remarkable. What starts as a seemingly straightforward whodunit turns into sweeping, soulful meditation on the nature of history, power, community, and truth itself. HighFi Rush. HighFi Rush is a hack-and-slash action game built entirely around its soundtrack. You can move and jump freely, but all of your steps and attacks are timed to the beat of the backing music. If you time your moves right on the beat, you can do more damage and pull off combos. Everything else in the world pulsates and takes action to the same rhythm, from enemy attacks to lights flashing in the background. Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the kind of game no one but Rockstar, the team behind the Grand Theft Auto series, can make. Only when a studio is this successful can it pour millions of dollars in development hours into a game. Rockstar's simulation of a crumbling frontier world is enthralling and serves as a perfect backdrop to an uncharacteristically measured story. Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil Village is delightful. It's a gothic fairy tale masquerading as a survival horror game, and while this represents a fresh vibe for the franchise, it's not an unwelcome evolution. The characters and enemies in Village are full of life, even when they're decidedly undead, and Capcom has put a delicious twist on the idea of vampires, werewolves, sea creatures, giants, and creepy dolls. It simply feels like developers had fun with this one, and so will you.